So you can see, like, she's asking, is it shooting there? It's like, why is the microphone pointed there? But it doesn't matter, because right now we want to try to capture it this way, where we are trying to use the patterns to our advantage. Because in lower frequencies, like for example when I talk here, my voice is really bassy again, because of the off-axis response. So let's say I want my voice to be a lot deeper. I can always just put it a bit off-axis and it'll sound really good.
Test, test.
You want to start now? Yeah.
Feedback.
Sorry. Is it loud enough? Is it okay?
Just
I'm so into you, I can barely breathe. And all I wanna do is to fall in deep. But close and close enough till we cross the line. So name again.
Yeah, so I'm not going to make her redo the whole thing, but I'm just trying to get the general sound of it. Oh, it's in mute. There we go. All right, cool. So let's hear how it sounds like this. Oh, it could be non-existent. Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm so into you,
You hear it?
I can barely breathe.
There's a lot more depth in it now.
we play the other one.
And
Yeah, I was
all
gonna do
I
that, and now let's hear how it sounded like before. This is the mute button. How to take out the effects?
I'm so into you.
Oh, there it is. Okay, cool.
I can barely breathe. And all I wanna do is to fall.
Whoa, whoa. Is it like oh, still like yes. No, it's still like it.
But close and close enough till we cross the line.
Okay, this is before. This is the other one, and this is. Is it loud enough? Is it okay?
Yeah.
Now hear the difference.
I'm so into you.
You hear more. You hear more like diaphragm voice.
And all I wanna do is to fall in deep.
So you hear the difference? There's a lot more diaphragm. There's a lot less like sparkle on it, which is what sometimes you want from music, where you want a bit more from the stomach than from like the saliva voice you hear. Like for example, when I speak like this, see that really like that you hear the really high end of my saliva going blap blap blap. So that's really disgusting, but yeah. Does it make any sense to you guys? All right, so now we kind of understand like what to do when we want to kind of roll off the top end a bit. Just put it off axis. Now, the problem. That's not when she was singing this close to the microphone. Okay. See, the closer I go to the microphone, the bassier I get. I'm not just making it in my mouth now. You're not just going talking like that. Okay. It's more of me just putting it really close to my microphone. So if I want to make my voice less bassy, I just got to go hello, hello, hello. And as you see, my voice changed totally. It's not as dark anymore. It's a bit more flat. It's a bit more normal. It works for all microphones, whether dynamic or condenser. This was what we call proximity effect affects all microphones, but it only affects microphones that have directionality, which means cardioid, figure 8, or what's it called, bidirectional, and so, but it doesn't affect omnidirectional microphones. Omnidirectional microphones are microphones that capture everywhere, like it captures here, everywhere. The reason why, okay, so in here's something a bit more scientific. There are some microphones there that can do like changeable patterns. So actually, the rule of thumb is that the actual scientific way of thinking about it is that microphones, there's only two types of microphones technically when it comes to polar patterns. the figure of 8, which is the figure of 8, and a omnidirectional. The rest of it, you see cardioid, supercardioid, hypercardioid, half cardioid, and all the other modes are just a combination of these two being put together. So when we understand, like, if you want, like, if, for example, if you're gonna record two vocalists at the same time, like a backing vocal, and she's singing, if like I'm singing for her and like she's singing here, there's a figure 8 microphone. I can capture both of us. But if we go too close to the microphone, we are more susceptible to this because it's more directional. Cardioid is like this. Figure 8 is like this. So if I do this compared to doing this, you can hear the difference in the bass as well, right? So it really matters a lot with the polar patterns you choose and how you manipulate them. So as we can hear again, after I do this, I can easily proceed.
Yeah.
Sorry, give me a sec, my bad.
I'm so into you, I can barely breathe.
So what I'm gonna try now is try to make it a bit like professional sounding, okay? Add a bit of reverb, add a bit of echo.
And all I wanna do is to fall in deep. But close ain't close enough till we cross the line. Yeah. So name again.
So you guys hear it? It sounds quite nice already. It sounds quite close to like how you would record in a professional environment. In this case, we are blasting out the music on the speakers and asking her to sing over it. In the more ideal situation, you'll be in your room wearing headphones, and she will be wearing headphones as well. And you guys will be listening to the same thing while you record in a quiet room. You don't want like spills to be coming out everywhere, and there's like, so you can isolate the tracks. So when it comes to microphones, you guys got to understand that when you buy one microphone, it only serve one purpose. You can experiment by trying to put them off axis or the distance away to figure out what can be done, whether your microphone can be used for a lot more purposes. Like, you know, like he said, using one of those microphones, you don't want to put in front of a kick drum. But you can actually put it in front of a kick drum. You just got to put it further away so that the intensity is not as much. But we talk about the way how a condenser works. It's a lot more sensitive. So you're going to capture a lot more of the room as well when you put it further away. It's kind of like baking a cake. Just by putting more white flour, you get a certain taste. By putting more brown flour, you get a certain taste. If you put more cream, it's going to be more creamy. You know what I mean? It really depends. It's like a very delicate balance between what you want to achieve and what you want to and what you have. Because, like, personally, in my collection, I have that microphone, and I have a few others like I have a dynamic microphone, which I use for guitar amps, and I'm gonna buy a general purpose, like one of these microphones for vocalists, and that's about it. That's all I need. So, I mean, if you guys got any questions on what you can try to do, please ask. Anyone at all? Come on. Is there any questions? Is anything that I said a bit too scientific? You want me to simplify a bit? It's either, the silence is either everything was a bit too complicated or you guys understand, so I'm a bit worried. You guys understand? Yeah, so I'm going to be around for a little while. You can ask me any questions. Yeah, sorry. Oh, okay. So I'm going to show you what I have done at home. I mean, if you guys want to hear some of my studio recordings, I'll be more than happy to show you my studio recording. But I'm going to show you what I have strictly done at home only. Later, if you want to hear some of my stuff, please feel free. All right, cool. Okay, so I showed you 2 songs that I done at home already. Now I'm gonna show you. I done in my dormitory back in Liverpool. Now I'm gonna show you some other stuff I've done at home. Okay, this is something that's quite interesting. I think it's 6, I think. So yeah, that was done at home. Everything was done at home. The most of the instruments we heard was either like, okay, the only thing else what was recorded like an actual instrument was a guitar. The drums was programmed as well. Everything else was programmed as well. That bass line that you hear is programmed as well. Over there. The roads that you hear inside, the keyboard you hear is also from a computer. If you guys got Logic, you probably have the roads because I use the Logic roads. Yeah, I'm playing them on the pads, and I tried to make them as like there's a certain sound to it, like a very spacious, kind of like very reflective. Yeah, here we go about room. You can kind of understand how the room sounds like just by the way the drums is being played. You can imagine like a very empty room in like a loft somewhere. Yeah. Some other stuff. Yep, over here.
Question. Actually, it's regarding this room thing as well as the way you place the microphone and things like that can be done post production. Like you can add in a low pass filter or adding reverb.
Okay, you see there's a difference between you see the problem when you put a filter, it always introduces a certain artifact inside. Every time you put a plugin in, it would deteriorate the sound by a certain bit. So the way I record is trying to record the perfect thing with the least amount of like editing later. So you can do it post, but it's not gonna sound as good because this is natural. Like the bass you hear now, that's naturally from my voice into the microphone. Whereas if you do it, if you EQ and just bring out the bass a bit, it's gonna be a bit more artificial. Because it's gonna be a bit nerdy, but when you use EQs, you affect the phase of the sound, so you don't want to affect it too much as well. So yeah, does that? Yeah.
I'm very nerdy, so.
Oh yes, yeah. So yeah, it affects the phase quite well. Yeah, over there.
Well, on the question about the drums just now, even on electronic drums, the room matters, even if you're doing it electronically?
Well, that's reverb. That's reverb for you. Like the type of reverb you choose really matters as well. Like for this one, this particular drums that I did was basically an ambient. Like it's a sample. It's all samples, but there's an ambient microphone there as well. Like an ambient microphone. It's fake. But all you need to do is like really clamp it down with a compressor and it sounds like that. So or you can actually record a drums in a really empty loft with like solid concrete walls and it'll sound the same. It's more like over there.
I know mastering is a big, complicated topic, but can you just say a few things about what your goals are, like in mastering or your approach?
Okay, when you talk about mastering, a lot of people just slam what we call a limiter. A limiter is a compressor with like an infinite ratio. So basically, it just like clamps it down. The word clamp it down makes a lot of sense when you talk about mastering. Clamping a sound down. Everything is being reduced. Dynamics is being reduced. You see, for example, if I start speaking in this particular thing and not changing my voice and just speaking in this particular volume, it sounds really monotonous, right? So that's the same thing with music. Even if I start speaking higher and lower and it's the same volume, it's going to be irritating after a while. Can you imagine me speaking like this for the rest of the whole session? That's what you're trying to avoid when you master. You can clamp it down, but make sure that you keep the dynamics as well. So it might be a bit it might be a bit like complicated to understand now, but when you try to increase the dynamics of your song as well, using stuff like expanders or gates, like guitarists should know about gates. Yeah, when you try to do stuff like that, you actually help to improve the dynamics before you start clamping it down, because the difference is a lot wider. When you start clamping it down, the difference is still there. You know what I mean? And mastering is not about making a track louder. It's about making a track play on most systems. Like, that's the whole idea. The word mastering is actually called pre-mastering. Pre-mastering is preparing your media for CD. Well, last time it was for CD. But preparing for your media so that if I play through a small little phone like this, I can hear most of it as well. I can understand the gist of the song. Compared to, and even when I blast it to these big speakers. Yeah, over there.
Talking about your playing your iPhone, a sample rate, because you're talking about sample rate, nowadays it's no more 4.1. Talking about digital, like now you are playing, it's all compressed. How define you say that the highest you go, you can achieve what you can have? Because long ago, yes, it's a 4.1, right? A standard rate of sample rate. But nowadays, when you go up already to a media.
Like what, you mean like MP3s and M4As and stuff like that? Okay. Okay, so you're talking about like 96 and 192 and stuff like that. Okay. So, I'm a professional. I'm an audio professional. I'm not an audiophile. The way I work is purely based on logic. Our ears can only hear up to 20 to 20,000 hertz. This is my opinion on it, but I've done a lot of research on it, whether CD quality is enough. And a lot of it is snake oil, but it's up to you to how you want to interpret it. And ABX testing, which means 2 different sources and 1 control. People have failed to identify a 384 kilohertz song compared to a 44.1 kilohertz song. And if you talk about putting a very high sample rate song through a solid state amp, very often you would distort the solid state amp because the solid state amp was only meant for human frequencies. So when you talk about higher frequencies, a bit overrated. It's just people fluffing their feathers.